episode because not only do I have one guest, I have two guests, and I have Stephen Borrelli, the founder and CEO of Cuts Clothing, and Leslie, his girlfriend, who it's her first time on a podcast.
Let's go.
And it's like, Stephen's been on, how many pods have you been on? I feel like a lot.
A lot, yeah.
So he's just in the flow of his normal Tuesday routine. So super grateful to have you both here. Stephen, I'm just gonna throw you into it.
Let's go.
Give us a little bit of background on you. I love it when my guest gives their story, and I know you've done this a bunch of times. So let's hear the highlight reel of your journey, where you're from, how Cuts emerged, and then a little bit about. We'll dive into where it is today, but
and then I'll work on Leslie.
And the love, because we need Leslie to come in.
The love balances it out.
Yes. My name is Stephen. I'm from Wenatchee, Washington. I grew up in a small town called Wenatchee outside of Seattle. It's small town, 30-ish thousand people. And then I went to San Diego State. And when I was at San Diego State, there was a big entrepreneurship community there. The school itself maybe isn't the most academic, but there's a lot of businesses that have come out of there. And when I was a senior, this company called Pura Vida presented to our class, and Paul and Griff came in the class, and I was like, "Oh, how are you going to sell string?" And I kind of doubted it. And then 2 years later, I was like, "Wow, these guys have figured it out." So then I got to know them, and right about that time, I saw Movement Watches just had started up. They were a small couple guys in a business, and I was working at an advertising agency in San Diego, and then I was going through the motions for 2 years. I was 23 to 25 and just didn't really like working for someone. And so at that time I decided, I'm going to move home, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to just create something in e-commerce. Mm-hmm. So then right before I moved home, I was in Lululemon, and I saw some of the clothes they made, and I go, you know what? I wonder if we could kind of tweak what they're doing for the men and not apply the athletic look, but more towards business and how people are working today.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Maybe there's an idea here. So then I kept going to Lulu on my lunch breaks, and then one day I was there, and I was like, I wish this shirt had a different cut on it. And then the idea came, and decided to move home, and moved home for 2 years, did the whole Kickstarter, bootstrapped the whole thing, and then fast forward 3 years, we're close to 30 people now, and really, really growing. So it's been fun.
That's incredible. Just from I know you gave that in such a snapshot of it all, and I feel like there's so many layers to that.
Totally.
Even that decision of leaving what you were doing to take the full bet on Cuts. What was that like? Do you remember that moment? Did you have how's your family, your support system? Was it I'm gonna do this, and was it all love and just positive reinforcement? What was that moment like? Because I feel like there's a lot of people listening, and people I connect with, they maybe have that idea like you did, mm-hmm. but they just are one day, and then they don't do it. So mm-hmm. I want to kind of go into that moment in particular.
Yeah, my family was really supportive. My dad and mom, they wanted me to, go for my dreams. They said, I'll support you with whatever you want to do. But you could see that they outwardly, hey, Stephen, I'm going to support you, but they maybe didn't fully understand or believe it at the time. Mm-hmm. I know I had a couple family members say, Cuts, it sounds like a steakhouse or a.
Was the name right away? It came right away.
Right away.
Amazing.
Or they said it sounded like a barbershop, t-shirts with cuts, but I could see the vision with the way I was going to set up the business. Yeah. So we started getting going, and that first year was so hard because it was blind faith. A lot of the times I had this big idea that I wanted to build $1 billion business, but I didn't even know where to go. So you kind of had to trick yourself into thinking, this is going to work, even though this huge mountain that you were climbing, you didn't feel like you're having any progress. So it was, I look at when I was 25 to 27, which was the years I was home, the biggest skill you learn in that early phase of ideation and building a business is really just you develop really thick skin, and you develop self-confidence. Like self-confidence is one of these things that people think you can just like, some people are born with it and some people aren't. That's so far from the truth. Like self-confidence is really derived from like, doubting yourself and then pushing just an inch, and then like you're either, maybe you're right or maybe you're wrong, but then when you're wrong, you realize it's not that bad. So you develop an inch over time. And what's great about when you start a business is you have a lot of opportunities to be wrong or right and kind of push your boundaries because you have to. And then over the course of 2 years, you gain a lot of, you build up a lot of self-confidence where you're like ready to be a CEO. And so that phase is so important in like just character building for a CEO.
I love that, and I know that part of the journey too. It's like people see it now and they're like, oh, this guy, he has the girl, he has the life, they see everything. But then it's like that part, like you were hustling to bring it like to where it is today. And like during that whole journey, did you have a mentor? Like, did you even know the next step? Because I know people sometimes don't even take action because they don't know the how. Like they don't know the intricate step. But did you even know like the next step a month out, or did you have a mentor? Like what was that journey like of like knowing what to do and if it would be the right move?
My dad was a great mentor. He has a small business, but very small, but he's like a two-man, he has like 2 employees. So just seeing his life where he could coach me in sports and didn't have, crazy amounts of money, but I had everything I needed as a kid and I wanted that life. So that was a good mentor to me, just to kind of see that, you can start your own business. You don't have to work for someone. So I think that was very valuable. In terms of e-commerce, the movement guys were great. One of my professors in San Diego, called Professor Ozinski, he was huge for me. He was great. He was, I remember going down to San Diego and, hey, what do you think of that idea?
Yeah.
And he wasn't sure about it, but he said, Steven, you absolutely have to go for it. So, along the way, the movement guys, Brandon at Liquid IV, what sometimes is I help them, they help me, but there's been a lot of mutual, like LA's been a good like incubator for that, because like each different phase, whether it was like the early phase, like learning how to do a Kickstarter, then like running a $1 to $2 million business, and then now running several $1 million of sales. It's just a new level, managing 30 employees. And each phase
it keeps evolving though.
I've had someone to help me. Yeah.
Totally, and like you're showing up, you're doing the work, and it's like it seems like I think I'm huge on like your vibe attracts your tribe, and like what you put out comes back, and clearly like the right people come into your path like when you need it, and also like you were there for them. So I love that part of it, and I think environment and like keeping your social circle so locked in and supportive is so key to just staying positive and keeping that momentum going. And then the other thing I just want to tap into is that belief. I think that what you said about your dad, like that internal belief is so important and pivotal and like really shaping us to, because our thoughts are everything. Do you have any like mindset, mental practices to this day, or like routines that keep you like on your A game? I know you guys are both huge fitness, working out, like you have those values. So how do you really like create that like structure and that habit to show up as abundantly you do for the business?
So there's, I guess from a personal level, I, work out every day, wake up early, and that's just something that doesn't even feel like, it's just something that I do. It's not something that takes a lot of effort. Like if I can't go to work without breaking a sweat before, because like I'll call Leslie, like there'll be days I have to rush in the office and like the whole day, like my mental health won't be there.
He has to break a sweat before work, or else he's like, today is gonna be a bad day, I know it already.
And that's self-awareness too, right? And to like know that about yourself. Did it develop from the beginning, or like just during the process? Did you develop any new habits like in the entrepreneurial journey?
So I get a ton of emails. This is one maybe a little more practical for people that are, everyone gets a lot of emails. I go through all my emails and I star the ones that are important, and then I just try to like clear my inbox right away. And then if it's, you get so many emails that maybe you should respond to, or maybe you don't. I've realized that like you can really only deal with so much. So unless it's like something that needs your attention, like a yes or no, or a next step. If it's just like, a loosey goosey email, just if if it's someone contacting you and, if it's important, they'll reach back out and then you can readjust it then.
Totally.
So just little things like that.
Set these boundaries, and they probably just develop over
Yeah.
time, right? To like make you the person that you are. Going into business, then I definitely have to get into like personal balance, all of that with cuts. At the time, there was your competitors. Would you say like, because you're in your own lane, like
Yeah.
you were the first one to like really pave the way for like this kind of niche of men's apparel. Because now I know people who are discovering the podcast, like they see other brands doing it, but you were the first.
Let's go.
And I know there was a lot of people who've like
First.
copied, right? Because if anyone listens to this now, my Canadians, they might discover cuts,
Yeah,
and
let's go.
they're gonna see like this brand. So what was that all like building it? How was that journey of like building the e-commerce side of things? Did you lean on ads? I know Movement was huge on influencer marketing, and it just skyrocketed their business. But then again, they were like the first ones too, which is amazing. And then now every brand's tries to emulate and follow in their footsteps. So how was that growth phase of the company?
Yeah, we grew. We didn't take on investment, and we grew one shirt at a time, and we grew through. Similar to Movement, where we have a large influencer presence. I think one of the big things, because obviously we spend a lot of money on ads on Facebook and Instagram, which I don't think is that top of a secret now. If you want to do business, you kind of have to. But I think one of the things is just we are ambassadors. We have tons of like micro ambassadors that we give shirts to and send shirts to, and they're really the backbone of our business. And just developing relationships, like I think influencer marketing kind of has a weird name to it, but it's just when you break it down even further, it's just building relationships, and like that's how you really that's the one piece that no one can ever copy. Like my relationship with you is like unique to us. So like today, a guy on the Yankees, he was Tyler Wade. He's in Venice. It was his birthday. I had someone run down to give him a little package and mine his relationships is something that like another brand, they couldn't copy that. So I always try to tell like new founders, just start building relationships at scale when you can. And not all of them are going to be personal relationships, but we do Zoom calls with our ambassadors to let them know what's going on, and just letting them know kind of the back scenes of the business and let them feel a part of it. That's something that another brand can't necessarily copy, and it's much harder to. It's like that relationship that we built. So, that gives me peace when people copy us all the time. So,
And that's been from the get. I think that brand, and I was listening to this on like D Murthy's podcast. Love D, shout out to D. More and more as like there's more saturation, brand outweighs sale. It is like the main thing that will differentiate people investing from A to B, especially in a time like now where consumers are more, they're just very concerned with like what they're going to invest in, especially with like the nature of what's going on. And then it sounds so similar because Mark Brazil, they called he was on the podcast, amazing guy. They called every single customer that made an order. I think it was like, and now he says he still does it to this day. And like things like that differentiate, like, because I know there's a lot of like knockoff, like iconic brands. And it truly makes the world of a difference. In that phase of like growing cuts, what do you think it was a mix of like influencer marketing, the ads, but then also like the quality of the product? Because I know I'm not a guy, but it's the comfiest shirt ever made. It's like, how did you go about finding that, creating that? Especially because I know back then you were saying like there was just like a Lululemon. Like Lululemon makes really soft apparel, but I feel like it is so just for like the athlete. Like that's how they brand it. So how was that journey of like sourcing the material and like really just like figuring out the best quality shirt that would set you guys apart?
Yeah, I made 6 trips to China in the last like year and a half, and the development process never ends. We started off with almost too soft where the fabric would kind of fall apart, and now through the customs we're very careful with how you wash it and the dry process, and it's a very long process to even get the fabric ready to be cut, and then when it's cut it goes through another process. So through that, development takes years and years. Like even if someone just took our garment, said, all right, here's the contents, sent it to a factory and made it, it wouldn't feel anything like it because of like, what area of the region in China was the cotton source. That's going to affect it. And so development is just, something that you just need to really go all in. And that's really why we haven't done that many products, because, it's easy to create products, but it's hard to create great products. And at Cuts, we want to like go all in on a few things and get those right and be the best at it, then do a million things and be kind of wishy-wash. So our methodology is like one great product at a time, creates lasting customers.
It's so true though, because everyone in LA is wearing your product. Like, and I was at like Matt Como on the podcast yesterday. He was wearing your shirt. It's like everyone's wearing it, and it's just incredible. How does it feel just to see like so many people wearing your product and celebrities? How do you feel?
It's fun. Sometimes I'll go up to people. Actually, my most embarrassing story that happened at the beginning of us dating. We were dating for like 2 weeks. It was very low key, nothing to like say about it really. And we were at the bungalow with my sister and her ex-boyfriend. And her ex-boyfriend sees some guy wearing Cuts at the bungalow and goes, "Hey, she's dating the Cuts founder." And I was like, "Evan, why do you have to do that to me?" But it turns out that it was Sean, who's like one of the most senior people at Cuts. And he was like, "Oh, really?" Because Steven's one of my longtime friends, and I was like, "Okay, I've met you before," and it was really embarrassing. But yeah, we see Cuts all the time, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like, I see them all the time now. It's like crazy. I'll go if I'm like before quarantine. If you're out in LA, like it's almost a pretty good bet that if I go to like the waterfront or bungalow,
or so cool,
I'm gonna see one.
It's so incredible.
Like I've been New York, I've seen one. Oregon. And it's usually cool, like in Oregon, where I was at a bachelor party, I see a guy, and then he ended up like giving us recommendations. He joined us for dinner. It's cool. Like, those connections are great because then they'll never forget it. Like, we were in San Diego and this guy and his friend were both wearing Cuts at dinner. So I sent him a shot and I was like, tell the guy, the waiter, tell the guy doing, ordering if what did I exactly say?
He said the founder of Cuts and thanks for buying our shirts. And then we like waved and we ended up having a great time with them.
No way. That's the coolest thing ever. It must be so fulfilling on your end. Like, do you go up to anyone you see at like waterfront or bungalow?
I used to, now I don't.
Are they shaking up? Are they like...
one time we were at waterfront and Steven went up and said hi, and this guy would not leave us alone. So I think now we're a little bit more careful about it. Or like we really pick and choose like a time when we can spend time on that relationship versus just saying hi and then bye. But
I love this. Relationships matter. Relationships are number one. So how did you meet Leslie? I want to hear
this Leslie's time to shine.
Especially because people want to know too. Like, it's inspiring to see like you have a $1 billion company and you're doing all the things, and then you have this like life where you have balance. You guys both like are so grounded individually, like have different things going on, like value fitness, value like family. So how did you guys meet? Leslie, you need to come closer to the mic. Let's go.
Scoot over. We met organically, not through like a dating app or anything. Notoriously, I've never been on a dating app, and I'm super proud of that. Not that it's a bad thing, but so we met through my sister's ex-boyfriend. She was good friends with Steven at the time. We hit it off, and then I was dating somebody at the time, and so I kind of had my blinders on, and I don't even remember it very well, but he followed me on Instagram, and then for like a year, he would kind of try and slide in the DMs, and I didn't respond, but he would tell Evan, "Oh, I remember that girl Leslie, and let me know if she's ever single." And then I had heard Steven's name enough times that by the time I got out of my relationship and I was ready to start dating again, I was like, what, I'm just going to look this guy up because if he's cool, that would be an epic story.
Did you know, like, he's the founder of Cuts or anything?
I heard he was the founder of a t-shirt company because Evan would always wear his Cuts t-shirt, and anytime that he would wear it, I'd be like, "I love your shirt, that's so cool," and he'd show me the X, and I'd be like,
cool.
"It's my friend Steven," but I honestly never really put two and two together. And then finally, when I was like ready to date, everyone was like, you should really hit up Steven. And I was like, okay, I had to look at his Instagram because I didn't even like know that I followed him, but I was like, oh, I do follow this guy and he looks really cute. And so I DM'd him and we hit it off, and within like a week we were full force.
The other same JT, same situation. I don't know if it was a week, but when they connected in like person in LA or where it was, but it was, they just knew. I think when you know, you know.
Yeah, I think when you have personalities like Steven and ours, it's hard not to be obsessed with your person. Like you're just automatically magnetized to
You
each
guys need
other.
to see the video. You guys need to see. And one thing on Steven, he knew what he wanted. He knew what he wanted with the business. Guys, this is like entrepreneurs. Like when you are, I feel like entrepreneurs are kind of like stubborn and relentless with what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Falls through in the love life too, and he got the girl.
Let's go, Les.
So true.
So how do you guys like have this sort of balance in both your lives? I actually want to know because I think it's like, how do you maintain so much balance? Like, do you set boundaries in your business life and your personal life for like, okay, it's Leslie and Steven time, or like, because I know work can sometimes like get the best of all of us, but we almost have to just be like, you know what, like I need to take a time out because if I do, it's gonna serve me for when I'm back at it the next day. Like you guys both work really hard. So how do you guys set up those boundaries and have that balance in your life?
We never really had an issue with that. We always say that the timing was really good because Steven brought the company up to a point where he could take, weekend days and not have to worry too much. I can tell he's always thinking about it. Sometimes I'll catch him and be like, are you actually listening to me? And I know he's thinking about cuts, but most of the time he's present with me. And so we have our weekends back before COVID. I would go to work during the week and we'd see each other maybe like once during the week and then on the full weekends, and we devoted that time to each other. And now that we're in quarantine season, we work out together. He, does his long hours. I'll make us dinner, and then we'll have a couple hours of pretty devoted time. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think family has always been important to me, and making sure me and Leslie have time to build our relationship. Which is nothing's more important than less. But I think balance is so key. Just to have time with family and friends to do other things and get your mind off, so you can be refreshed at work. When we first started dating, we were traveling a lot, and then COVID happened. So it's Leslie's the best.
You're the best thing.
I think another really cool thing is that, because I know a lot of people will say this, that they have to be in a relationship with someone who's an entrepreneur too, or like in the same industry. And the really cool thing, like Leslie, what do you do? Tell the people what you do.
Come on, Les.
I work at a very large biotech company in their supply chain for clinical trials, so it's pretty opposite actually.
Yep.
It's in a highly regulated industry, very corporate. And I've liked it so far.
You love it. You're so in your element.
Yeah.
And I think that's like such an important thing to say, because a lot of people will like kind of just like disregard certain, like, oh, my type is only this, or that'll only work. And it's like, it's not true, like at all. So what would you say to someone, entrepreneur, super busy and is trying to implement more of a balance in their life, because they're in this phase of, and someone might be like, what if Leslie came into the picture when you were in that hustle season? I feel like you would still, because you're very simple with your values, you would make time for that.
That's a good question. I've actually never asked that.
Because I feel like there's someone listening who's like, you know what, I'm in this hustle season for, I actually know a lot of people who are in this season, they're like, you know what, in 3 years when my business is here, then I'll date.
Mm-hmm.
But then you block yourself from blessings, like Les.
Like Les. She is a blessing. I think that's kind of like just a bad excuse of saying, because if the right person comes, it doesn't matter what phase you're in, it'll work because it's the right person. But it probably, I guess, like if let's say you're really focused on your business and, the right person comes, is going to work. But let's say, you're out of school, just starting, and someone that's kind of not a right fit, but will entertain you and you like having fun with them, then sometimes it can work. But I think the business like will allow you in a good way to just like, you're just going to say no to people because it's just not going to be worth your time if it's not the right person. But when the right person comes, like, you know, because I think there's some argument to say like right now I'm still so busy, but I made it work with Leslie, and it's, you know, we have plenty of time to hang, and it's
And that person has to be respectful of work time too.
yeah, and Leslie
Like if
is.
Steph is working late and not complaining about it, because I know
She's honestly the
working
best.
for
Yeah.
us, you know. So it's like it's a team effort.
I think it really comes down to this level of like self-awareness, because you guys both probably knew exactly what you needed. So when that person did come around, you knew that they were the person. Because I think a lot of people get lost in the sauce and things, and they don't have that time to be like, okay, what is my person? What would be a good fit? So then you don't like push them away if they come, or like B, just like completely like invest time in the wrong person. So both of you, I love this question. Like, do you guys have any, I know the workout is key, any like things that you need to do in your day to fill up your cup, like journaling routines, meditation, and I want to hear like the specific things. So if you journal, like what do you journal? When do you journal?
Go for it, Les.
I'm more inclined to journal when I have bad days. I don't know why that is. So I need to get better at journaling when I have good days, because if you looked at my journal, you'd probably be like, this person has a crappy life. But I like to journal if I'm in a mood, you know?
Yeah.
We like to try and read as much as possible at night before bed instead of just like watching TV and then going to bed. And then I'd say our mornings are like our biggest set up for the rest of the day. Like
Totally.
waking up early, working out, making the protein shake.
I love
You know,
that.
having maybe 15 minutes of just drinking hot lemon water and sitting together. And
No
then,
phone.
Yeah.
No
exactly.
emails.
No fun.
And we always say our mornings are the best, and he'll come home and be
Aw.
like, this morning was the best, because it's a good, now that it's quarantine, it's literally a good like 2 hours where it's just
Guys,
us.
they're up early. Like,
Yeah, we
they're
go
up early. So like,
5:30.
yeah, I
Early.
need to put that context in there. Is that every morning? Non-negotiable?
I mean, Leslie's probably at, you know, my house like what, 50% of the time.
Yeah, pretty often. And I start my meetings at like 7 o'clock sometimes, because I have a lot of meetings with people in Europe. So I'll start my meetings and he'll kind of do his thing, and then we'll come together if I have a break in meetings. And so, yeah, just
No, that's
spending a lot of time together.
I love that. I think that morning, it sets your whole day up.
It does.
Yeah.
You guys go to bed at like, you guys have the same, and this is another thing for people listening, like same value system.
Yeah.
And like, it wasn't like one of you was like out partying, like live that life. It's
Yeah.
like, no, very aligned. Like you went to the gym at really early, probably before you guys met. Cause then when you guys, now you guys
Yeah,
get together.
I think that's key. Like,
So key.
we have the, you know, I was never in a relationship like this, but Leslie says like, you know, your past relationship, you know, he wouldn't go to the gym. Like I couldn't date someone who just like didn't enjoy doing like active things, because I love doing active things, and I don't want to do that with Leslie, and she's so good with that. Like we do hikes,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
enjoy like all the same things.
like grabbing tequila,
Sugarfish.
sugar fish.
She tells me about sugarfish.
Who doesn't love sugarfish though? I don't think that's unique to us.
Yeah.
That's everybody.
No, I love this. I gotta ask. So, what would you guys say, like top 5 tips for couples, like to have a successful, thriving relationship?
This is all Les.
All right, you're gonna have to help me with 5. That's quite a few. Top 5. So, let's see. Prioritizing each other.
Guys, take notes.
Prioritizing each other, because you know you have a lot of options of things to do in a day, and if it's the one time that you guys get to hang out, prioritize that, right? And learn what each other values the most. I think love languages is kind of like a sometimes people use it too often, it's overused, but it shows your values. Like my values are time spent, and his values are like touching and words of affirmation. And so understanding that and giving that to each other is great. Third thing, I love how you resolve any issue. We look at any issue, and he's gotten me to be really good about this. It's not like me against you, it's like us against the issue.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's
That
such
was
a team
really good.
like effort. And anytime I'm facing something, because we're a 5-year age difference, and I think that mostly shows up in career-wise, and I deal with things in my career that he's already been through, and so he'll kind of tackle it with me, and it's super helpful. Let's see.
These are so good so far.
And then-
These are
Killing
real,
it.
you're not just giving like straight up just random. You're giving like really good ones.
Understanding each other's families, I think,
Oh.
is really important.
Yeah.
Because he comes from the most amazing family in the entire world. His parents have been married for 30-something years. Great siblings, all of them do so well. And then I come from a equally as awesome family.
They're awesome.
But,
They're awesome.
but parents divorced very young, a little bit less stable than his growing up situation
But
was.
her family's amazing.
They
Tammy,
are. They
Louis, they're
really
amazing.
lead with
Dan,
love.
they're awesome.
Yeah, and there's a lot of parents in the mix, like stepdad
And you and your sister though are super tight.
yeah, and I'm a twin sister.
Yeah.
So we have different family dynamics, but I think it's really nice because he can lead with his examples that he got from his parents of what to do. I can lead with examples of what I've gotten from my parents of what not to do partly, and then what
But
to
your-
do when they found
But her
new
mom is an
people.
absolute angel and amazing. So you've learned a lot from her.
She is, and she
Yeah.
found her person just much later in life, so I learned from that relationship for sure. But we can kind of come together and fill in each other's gaps because he probably doesn't understand how to resolve huge problems in a relationship, but I have witnessed that before versus I don't know what a 30-year marriage looks like, and he has witnessed that before. So I think that kind of balances it out. And then, am I on 4 or 5?
5.
I'm on 5 now. Okay. What's the last one?
They're really good so far.
Do you have a 5th one?
I would say, we both love Jesus.
And we
Yeah.
love. Well, that should have been priority 1, but I
Yeah.
didn't know if we could bring that up on the
Oh
podcast.
my god, I didn't think, we don't want to hear.
We go to church on Sundays, and
Yeah,
That's so important.
That should be number 1, obviously.
but yeah, I think it's super important to me and gives us balance and gives us a rock to stand on. So I think that's important.
One of the beautiful things that I think about every relationship we're in, it should make you you should grow together, and this is such a pure example of you guys are consciously growing together and continuously, because then that's what makes a relationship be a lifetime relationship, right? Versus people are staying in stagnant relationships that they're not growing together. It's that doesn't lead to lasting love. So I think that it's so important that you said that in different ways, and you guys are continuously evaluating and making it stronger. It's everything. So I'm hoping people are really just sitting with it all, because you gave a lot of good tips.
Leslie killed it there.
They were really good.
And then the last one, I think, if I was going to add one, is Steven is the most supportive. He'll support me through anything that I ever wanted to do, and then vice versa. I remember I had a professor, I was taking some law classes, and he had an entrepreneur come in and talk to the class, and it was this entrepreneur that was doing organic kids candy, but it really popped off and it was doing very well. And he said there was one point where he had his wife, who is in corporate America, so again, corporate versus entrepreneur, and the business was failing, and the wife had to put in all of her savings that she had gotten from her work into the business to build it up, and it ended up being the right risk to take because it paid off very well. And I always thought okay, one of the goals for my future partner is I would believe in them so much that I would do that for them, and I totally would. I'm Steven.
Have
So I think
you,
that
have
She's
you
an
heard
angel.
that before?
Leslie's an absolute angel.
Have you? That is this is recording.
She's.
That was the.
I've never
sweetest
heard it in that way, but I believe every every word of it.
gosh. And he's cuts is only popping off, baby. Don't worry. But you got your girl.
Yeah.
I always ask this business wise, but I gotta ask it relationship, personal, and then business. So what's like next for you guys? Like any big things you guys are going on? No, it's COVID. Any like big plans together? Like any new businesses? I don't know. What's next for you two? Or just living life in love?
The closest thing is Christmas. We're doing Christmas. Last year we did something similar, but we didn't spend actual Christmas together. I left a date early, and then Steven came and met me. But he's from Washington, so we'll go up there. Christmas
time.
Through Christmas, and then right after Christmas, we'll go to Colorado and spend it with my family. So good family time. I feel like I've gotten a good amount of time with your family.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to go to Denver to see her fam this Christmas. That'll be fun.
Yeah, so that's upcoming next.
He's excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we get to meet Steven's new nephew, the newest member of the family.
I am officially an uncle.
Yeah.
That is
First
so
grandbaby in the mix.
exciting.
Yeah,
Oh my god. I love that. It's like so positive to hear this because of like what everyone's been going through, and like family is everything, and I know this time is like trying to break it all apart, but it's hearing things like that, it's like no. Christmas and just being with your loved ones is like needed more than ever, and like I think right now too, like this year everyone's gonna cherish it even more because of like how much time apart everyone's been from their loved ones.
Yeah.
But personally now, what do you guys got? I always ask this to the entrepreneurs, like what's going, Leslie, we're starting with you. What are you, how's everything going business wise? Are you working on any exciting projects? Like what is just like, what are you looking forward to?
No side projects, but I have been kind of keeping my eye out for a side hustle because I have a little bit of extra free time. When you take out the commute and shamefully getting ready, I don't always get ready in the morning in quarantine. It really gives you a couple hours in the day to, find something that you're passionate about. So I'm always interested in a side hustle, and then
I feel like I knew you were gonna say that.
Really?
Can you do you know what the side hustle? Do you have an idea of what you?
I don't yet. I always want to. My main goal just for my career is helping people. So first I wanted to be a doctor, and then when I decided I didn't want to be a doctor, I wanted to at least be in the health space.
Yeah.
Which is why I stayed biotech industry-wise. And the company that I work for is great. They make really life-saving medications, and I love it. But when you have free time and you're in this phase of life where you're building your career up, you don't want to spend it doing something that's not going to pay off later down the road. So having an extra couple hours, I would say, I want to get into something that I'm also passionate about. So maybe in the health and wellness space. I have no idea.
It's gonna happen.
I'm keeping it. I'm praying about it, and I'm really
go, Les.
trying to find
so
something that I'd be passionate about. But I have no idea.
It's gonna come through just like Cuts did.
It will.
You're just gonna have
It's
the idea,
going.
and then you're gonna just shows such an example of your conversations you guys are probably having because you guys spend a lot of time together. People you guys are around is key, and I feel like everything you guys are talking about, growing together, is probably birthing all these new ideas, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
So guys, everything's gonna be plugged below, but you guys gotta keep up with Leslie because we can.
Leslie's the real star.
Oh boy! I mean,
Is your Instagram still private?
Yes. I toggle back and forth, but private, I'm just
We release it.
Plus, I don't think of it a very Instagram-worthy Instagram. It's kind of just.
No, people buy people. I'm big on personal brands. That's why influencers grow. People love seeing other people's lives, and they like to get to know more. The fact that you're sharing all this. Your family's gotta listen to this podcast with you shining. People love to know, especially when it's people don't share their stories or what they're working on. I think it's so you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say that it doesn't turn into anything, or maybe it'll turn into
will.
something.
Yeah.
But I do love the company that I work for and the space that I'm in. So maybe something will happen within the company that'll take up more of my time. Who knows? I'm just open to it.
And that's the key. Being open is everything, because then you can attract what's meant for you. It's gonna come.
Yeah.
Steven, your turn.
Um,
What's coming for Cuts? Can you plug anything exciting? I know there's probably so many things, but what's in the pipeline? Any big things?
we're growing. We were 4 people, a year and a half ago, and now we're approaching 30. We'll probably maybe hire another 10 more, and really just, one of the sayings, we make clothes for the sport of business. And, if you look at business, it's really, has a lot of similarities to sports. There's usually a winner and loser. There's the team aspect. There's the competitiveness that you get, like of wanting to like do well. And, and how business is, the setting of business, the field of business has changed forever. It's not necessarily office. It's your, we're doing business right now. And so continue to develop more clothing lines for that type of field is really where we're going, and we want to be the best in the world at it. So you'll see more products from us as the year goes on.
Oh, I love that. You're hyping it up. We're going to be so excited to see that. And then that's so exciting with the expansion, because from 4 to 30 and then now you're expanding even more. It's incredible. And anything personally for you that you're looking forward to? I know you've been doing a lot of podcasts, so more stuff on the personal brand.
Yeah, maybe more stuff on the personal brand. I'm getting ready to hire like my first like Team Stephen Borrelli hire, just to kind of help me with do like more personal brand
Follow
stuff.
You around like a D-Rock.
Not quite just a video guy, but just to kind of, I get a lot of opportunities like this that I don't have time to schedule or make happen. So
no, Leslie, thank you so much.
But so try to make that a more focus. I think it'll help the brand. People want to hear from the founder of a business. So just being more out and talking to customers, and this is a form of relationship building with customers. So doing more of that, and just really can. I guess I love to work. I can't wait to get into the office tomorrow. The next couple of years are probably still going to be like this one, where it's just head down. Really stay focused. On personal side, just spend as much time as I can with Leslie. She's the best. I'm excited to see my nephew, Michelangelo. He's, 2 weeks old now, so get to see him hopefully more and more. And I
think one of the biggest things there, it's like you're enjoying every step of this journey because it's ever evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like you've enjoyed it from day one, and it's like it just keeps getting more fulfillment from it. Like whether it's like your partner in crime and your family, like every single part of it is so fulfilling. And I think that's the key for anyone like listening in a hustle and a business. Like you have to make sure you're loving the process each day. But thank you guys so much. Truly, I think this episode
and I think we got to give Leslie props. She
Like,
absolutely killed it on her first appearance. Thank you.
You guys gotta watch this video. It's just like glowing. This was such a pleasure because I know you do so many podcasts, but this is like a podcast with Leslie, and this I think is such a pure representation of relationships in all areas, like business relationships, building cuts, personal relationships, to just thrive, and such a pure representation of that. And I just want to honor you and thank you guys
Thanks for having us.
And everything, guys, will be linked below in the show notes. Leslie's Instagram to get hype about the hustle.
She needs some followers. Let's go.
Let's go. Steven's Instagram and cuts.